The story first introduces our main protagonists, Petra and James, who are students of an international high school in Jakarta, preparing to go to their philosophy class. Inside the class, we meet Mr. Zimmet, their philosophy teacher, who has been helping his students exercise their thoughts to prepare them for the future. On their last day in high school, he asks the class to share some thoughts about how philosophy affects what they do in real life and what thought experiments they remembered. Following that, he moves on to persuade his class of 21 students to participate in one more thought experiment set during an atomic apocalypse to test their ability to use logical reasoning. When one of the students argues that the last day is supposed to be a relaxed day for them, he threatens the class in a subtle way that he will still fail them if they do not participate. Mr. Zimmet and his 21 students begin the thought experiment in which they are in an atomic apocalypse, with the twist that only 10 of them can live due to a bunker that can only provide supplies for 10 people for a year. Given the professions that could potentially help reconstruct the world in the future, they must determine who to invite into the bunker. Petra refuses to participate since it contradicts her moral convictions, as it would be murder to kill more than half of the group in order to survive. Mr. Zimmet, on the other hand, was able to persuade her in the end, blackmailing her by threatening to decrease her boyfriend, James' academic score. Mr. Zimmet carries a black box containing cards from which students must choose the professions of their characters in this activity. This will determine whether they are deserving of a bunker spot during the radioactive holocaust. He gives it to James and Petra first, where he appears to cough after doing so. In this exercise, James is an organic farmer, Petra is an engineer, Georgina is an orthopedic surgeon, Chips is a carpenter, Jack has a PhD in chemistry, Bonnie is a soldier, Andy is an electrician, Vivian is a zoologist, Beatrice is a fashion designer, Parker is a gelato maker, Utemi is an opera singer, Poppy is a psychotherapist, Oma Said is a U.S. senator, Kavi is a real estate agent, Russell is a harpist, Plum is a hedge fund manager, Nelson is a housekeeper, and Toby, after telling them he is a poet, gets shot in the head by Mr. Zimmet, who the students only know as a wild card and may or may not be needed for their survival. Shocked by what occurred, the students reasoned out their right to enter the shelter and engaged in a group vote discussion. Students with abilities deemed vital for survival, such as James and Petra, are admitted, while those who do not, such as Beatrice, a fashion designer, and Russell, a harpist, are denied. Additionally, since they don't really know anything about Mr. Zimmet, they debated whether or not to allow him to take a bunker slot. Ultimately, they allowed him to board the last slot to the shelter. He then shoots the group that was denied, killing them, and increasing their fear of accepting him to the sanctuary. He justifies that it would be more humane for the rejected students to die now rather than suffer radiation exposure. Following the atomic blast, they hurried to the bunker and locked Mr. Zimmet outside. They then proceed inside the bunker to inspect the rooms and supplies. Petra wakes up that night to see if Mr. Zimmet is still outside the bunker. Already irradiated, he shows a piece of paper on which it is written that he is the only one who knows the bunker's exit code and then passes out. Petra reveals it to the group, but they are unable to test it because opening the bunker will immediately expose them to radiation. They'll have to wait a year to find out whether Mr. Zimmet was speaking the truth. When they attempted to depart the bunker a year later, they discovered that an exit code was indeed required. They have made multiple unsuccessful attempts to burst down the door. They ran out of food as the days went by, and someone died from a brain aneurysm, so they turned him into food. In this thought experiment, the oxygen supply also ran out, and all 9 of them died in the end. Mr. Zimmet then revealed that he was a bunker builder. Specifically, he was the one who built the bunker they inhabited, which explains why he is the only one who knows the exit code. Mr. Zimmet and his students decided to try the exercise again. This time, the students will have additional detail about their character that would potentially change the votes to earn them a bunker slot. James is still voted in despite being gay, which would conflict with reproduction. Georgina, who in this thought experiment is an orthopedic surgeon, now is seen as a potential threat to the survivors because she may have contracted the Ebola virus. Emotional about it, she expresses her frustration to Mr. Zimmet, who, on the other hand, does not care as long as he helps exercise their logical reasoning. They go into the exercise about the apocalyptic atomic holocaust and proceed with their group vote to determine who will be beneficial to the group's survival. The unchosen group attempts to flee the atomic explosion by speeding away, but their truck explodes, leaving no survivors, while the chosen group runs inside the bunker. Petra discovers James in bed with Jack inside the bunker, As James reaches for her, they enter the group conversation regarding procreation. Because there are only 4 ladies in the group, they determined which one would be partnered with the other. Because James is gay, Petra has no choice but to be coupled with Mr. Zimmett. After 10 weeks, there was no one in the 4 women that got pregnant. Mr. Zimmett opens up the idea of changing partners to have more chances of pregnancies. When Bonnie, the soldier with eidetic memory, refuses this idea, Mr. Zimmett becomes furious that he made the rest of the group go outside except for Bonnie. He threatens her by pointing a gun at her, but Jack was able to stab Mr. Zimmett with a pen. Wounded, he exits the room and opens the door, killing everyone. They failed yet again in the second exercise. Meanwhile, James doubts Zimmett's reasons for carrying out the exercise, questioning why he seemed to be out to impose punishment on them. He sneaks inside Mr. Zimmett's desk to retrieve the black box. He examines the box and is shocked to see compartments, as if it were a magic box, implying that the cards he holds for him and Petra are fixed. The experiment, according to Mr. Zimmett, is intended to confront James with how his privilege has left him unprepared for the real world. But James is not convinced. Because of what he found out, he wanted to have one more thought exercise, to which Petra seconded the motion. Mr. Zimmett then agrees with a condition that James' character will be a florist this time. Petra walks over to Mr. Zimmett in the third exercise and gives him a hug, telling him that she is going to change the system for selecting individuals in the group vote. During the group discussion, Petra encourages everyone to put their trust in her and let her choose the 10 people who can enter the bunker. She selects people who are risky or have non-technical skills, such as an opera singer, a gelato maker, a fashion designer, a poet, or even James, a florist, which upsets Mr. Zimmett. Enraged by this, he looks at his bag to bring out his gun, only to find out that Petra took it from him. Mr. Zimmett is rejected access outright, since his exit code is no longer required. Bonnie recalls it from the prior version. She gave him a chance to walk away and hand him over the gun. Mr. Zimmett tries to use the gun again, but there weren't any bullets in it. Left with no other choice, he storms away from the group. Petra herself refuses to enter the bunker, stating that Bonnie would be more worthy to be saved than herself. They both refuse to take the last bunker slot, and they decided to give it to Chips. Petra and the unchosen group decided to use the boat to escape the atomic explosion. As she's about to get the keys from Chips, he pushes her inside and switches places with him before the door closes. The group continues the thought exercise, enjoying a whole year inside the bunker as they discover their love for poker, arts, engineering, and other entertainment activities that the chosen individuals have talents in. When it was time to evacuate the bunker, they discovered that the nuclear blast had not occurred. Mr. Zimmett speculates that since none of them possess the technological skills necessary to exist, they won't be able to stay alive much longer. Petra, however, is not in agreement, saying that they will live a little longer and be prepared for death when it comes. Mr. Zimmett arrives at the beach, startling the chosen group. He managed to survive for a year inside a cave. Because the chosen group was ready for death, James proceeded to the atomic rockets to set off the explosion. Mr. Zimmett threatens to shoot James because he does not want the group to kill everyone, including himself. Petra and the rest of the chosen group stand in front of James as he detonates the rocket. Back in class, Mr. Zimmett felt embarrassed by the outcome of the last exercise. Chips shares his own thought experiment that he did when he took the boat with the unchosen group. He kills off all the rest of the men in the boat so he can be with the rest of the women. Though he is sterile, women won't have any choice as he is the king of the island on this thought experiment. At the end of their last day of class, Mr. Zimmett asks them to return their textbooks. Petra was the last one to return the textbook. Everyone leaves, so Petra closes the door and confronts Mr. Zimmett uses thought experiments to punish her and James. It appears that Petra and Mr. Zimmett has been having an affair, and he believes that James does not deserve Petra as she was her top student and James was just a mediocre student. Petra argues that intelligence is not the only basis in having a relationship. She expresses how much he loves James and asks Mr. Zimmett to leave them alone as what they have is forbidden anyway. She gives him one last kiss and leaves the room. The film ended with Mr. Zimmett walking down the hallway, eating a sandwich as if everything had returned to normal. He enters his office, pulls out his revolver from his drawer, and a gunshot is heard. This scene, like the thought experiments, may or may not imply that Mr. Zimmett committed suicide. It might reflect various potential outcomes of the previous experiment, implying that philosophy and logical reasoning can educate us how to make good decisions in life.